In 1929, workers cleaning an old palace in Istanbul found a map drawn in 1513, made by an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis. So far, nothing unusual. The problem is what this map shows at the bottom. A continent, detailed, with mountains, bays, and rivers. A continent that, according to every historical record, no one had discovered yet. Antarctica wasn't officially found until 1820, more than 300 years later. Piri Reis was one of the greatest cartographers of the 16th century. An admiral of the Ottoman fleet, he had access to rare documents, maps captured from Portuguese, Spanish, and Arab ships. In 1513, he compiled everything he knew about the world into a single map. The result was extraordinary for his era. The coastline of South America was surprisingly accurate for a man who had never set foot there. But no one paid attention to the bottom corner, because what was drawn there shouldn't have existed. The map shows a large landmass south of South America. It has a detailed coastline, bays, what appeared to be rivers, and mountain ranges. In 1960, American cartographer Charles Hapgood analyzed the map at the request of the United States Air Force. His conclusion was unsettling. The coastline on the Piri Reis map doesn't match the ice-covered Antarctica we know today. It matches the sub-glacial coast, the continent as it would look without the ice. We only mapped Antarctica's sub-glacial coastline using modern sonar equipment in the 1950s. So, the question that no one has been able to answer clearly is, where did Piri Reis get this information? The admiral himself left a clue. In the margin notes of the map, he wrote that he compiled his information from much older maps. Sources he doesn't identify. Sources that, according to him, came from a time far earlier than his own. There are three major explanations for the Piri Reis map, and each one raises new questions. Theory 1. The convenient error. Skeptics argue that the landmass at the bottom is simply Tierra del Fuego, the southern tip of South America, badly drawn and exaggerated. Cartographers of the 16th century made mistakes like this constantly. It makes sense, but it doesn't explain the internal geographic features that don't exist in Tierra del Fuego. Theory 2. The forgotten civilization. Hapgood argued the map is evidence of an advanced civilization that predates recorded history, capable of navigating and mapping the entire planet long before ancient Egypt. A civilization that vanished, but left records that somehow reached medieval cartographers. It's the favorite theory of alternative historians, and it's impossible to prove, or to completely disprove. Theory 3. Continental drift. Some geologists suggest Antarctica once had a temperate climate tens of thousands of years ago when continental drift placed it at different latitudes. If that's true, and if humans existed then, perhaps the coastline was mapped before the ice covered everything. But this would require completely rewriting the human timeline. The Piri Reis map is currently housed at the Topkapi Museum in Istanbul. Anyone can see it. But what no one has managed to do in nearly 100 years of analysis is provide a definitive explanation for what's drawn in the south. Maybe it's an error. Maybe it's an extraordinary coincidence. Maybe it's a trace of something we'd rather not imagine. What we do know is that Piri Reis was meticulous. He didn't invent, he compiled. The question that remains is, what exactly Was he compiling? And if he was right, who drew the original maps? That's the first story from Bearman Stories. If you made it this far, you probably have the same questions I do. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. We're going to talk about the Voynich Manuscript, the only book in the world that no one has ever been able to read. Bearman Stories. Because the history they taught you has gaps.